Good afternoon, Howard Wiig, Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii. My honorable guest this afternoon is Lia Hunt of Goldwings Supply. They started out as a supplier of high efficiency lights for airports, and then they branched out and out and out and out. It is a saga of dramatic growth and super efficiency. Not just energy efficiency, but efficiency in maintenance, efficiency in manpower, communications, the whole 9 yards. So, welcome, Lia.
Thank you, Howard. I haven't had quite the introduction like that before. Thank you very much.
Well, we go back a ways, so I know a bit of your history. Well, let's talk first about solarcology. This is a word that you made up, and I think by explaining the origins of that word, that you'll tell us a lot about yourself.
Sure. Basically, the word arcology, a lot of people are familiar with that. It's, in a nutshell, a self-sustaining habitat. And what I did is I took the word soul and threw it in front of it and created solarcology. And in essence, that means a self-sustaining, self-contained device that is powered by solar and has an energy management system or a smart technology management system and a battery pack.
Okay, and what did you do with that word? You took the word and then you've translated that into one or more devices.
Yeah, well, actually, we've actually been selling these types of devices for over 15 years. I came up with the word over the last 5 years, just kind of learning more about what an arcology was and just the awareness of self-sustaining habitats. A lot of what we're seeing right now with tiny houses and with some other things that our government is even exploring. And it's just really exciting that a lot of people don't realize what we've been doing with these devices in our community, in the Hawaii environment, all over the world. So it's really fun to talk about it, and I'm looking forward to that.
Well, you and I know that we're living in a very, very rapidly changing world. For instance, I follow LED evolution, as I'm sure you do, and I get, say, a monthly newsletter, and it's this research, that research, this breakthrough, that breakthrough. LEDs are getting smarter and smarter and smarter, and they're connecting more and more to sort of the worldwide grid or the cloud. Can you give us some examples of what's happening with your company along those lines?
Well, as you know, the LED technology over the last few years has changed dramatically. Initially, when it all started coming out, there were, let's just throw a number out there, millions of manufacturers. Right now, those, maybe the cheaper, less inefficient LED manufacturers have been weeded out, and now we're at the core of, you know, the ones that have survived, that have maintained that leadership. And something that's really cool is that those were our partners early in. And so although we're just a distributor of these types of solutions, the companies that we represent chose wisely. And what's really cool about that is that it's proof positive in the efficiency in the output of the LEDs that they provide. So in this case, we have one of our products here, and this was the first device that was created by the original CEO of one of the companies that we represent. And as you can see, it's a self-contained solar-powered device with the LEDs. And this was invented in 1996, and this model is actually a 1999 model. And it still works, which defies actually battery technology. And what's really interesting about this is that all it does is emphasize the importance of the software behind the solution, the efficiency between the components, which is something that's needs to really be investigated whenever anyone's looking at a solution, whether it be traffic, marine, aviation, general illumination, or obstruction.
And the survivability or the reliability of this type of device, I'm sure people looking at it say, what in the heck is going on here? Well, for one thing, there's a tiny little solar cell up there which is powering. And because it's blinking, it's on only half the time, which doubles its lifetime. But in terms of quality control, I think, is what you're getting at here. One of the newsletters I read is from the U.S. Department of Energy, and they take a given type of LEDs, like, say, overhead lights or spotlights like this, and they get every company they can find that manufactures this type of LED fixture, and they test it. And easily half of the companies that they test do not meet the specifications on their own sheets.
That doesn't surprise me.
So it's still, you mentioned Survive.
Mm-hmm.
It's still kind of a wild west out there where you're getting high claims and low production from the device, but the company you represent is obviously exactly the opposite. I have
True.
a feeling that they under-promised and over-delivered.
Absolutely, yeah. And what's really cool is when you look at two different systems, like an AC system versus a solar-powered system, you really get to see in a solar-powered system how efficient the LEDs truly are. So if you have manufacturer A and then you have manufacturer Z, your system is not going to perform, the LED's output is going to drop dramatically, its life will drop dramatically. So when you really look at this type of solution and realize that the battery is the anchor, then what speaks for performance is actually the choice in LEDs, the components, the solar panel, the energy management system, and everything in between, and basically mastering the inefficiency drops in between. And I think that's what sets aside a lot of our solutions that we provide and how we define the Solarcology devices that that we're going to show in a few minutes.
Well, this is truly remarkable, this particular device, because, as you said, 1999, that's 15 years ago. LEDs were still kind of in the dark ages back then. There's been so many improvements, and yet this is surviving.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It actually, what's interesting too is the energy management system that we just looked at was able to figure out that it has some light on it right now, and it shut itself off. So it's actually sustainable in the fact that it doesn't need to be on if in fact there is sunlight, if in fact there's a tremendous amount, this is a lot of ambient light that we have here, but that's some of the things that we're talking about with the devices that we're putting out, smart technology. That's what sets it aside from a lot of the solutions that you see out there with the large solar panels, the huge control boxes that are, that people typically see on our streets, and that actually, they're basically collateral damage from older technology that came out in the first wave of these types of solutions.
So let's get into some of the specific devices. This is one, and I believe you have some slides to show?
Yeah, we do. Just to give some examples of some of the things that we've done in the past. This first slide is of a military base here. And this is an airfield, a solar airfield light. So totally self-encapsulated. You see the solar panels there. The LEDs are up top. The battery pack is on the inside, and so is the energy management system and circuit boards. This particular installation was, we saved them over millions and millions of dollars. If you can imagine removing the linear foot that would be required, the trenching, the cabling, the permitting. Permitting is a huge issue. So devices like this, standalone, go right into the ground, and you can see the antenna up there, and it's actually also a wireless device.
Wow.
So in 2007, we did the world's largest solar remote-controlled airfield, using this technology.
Are you at liberty to say where this is, or it's a local?
Yeah, it is a local airfield. It was unclassified in 2010, so we are able to talk about it. That is PMRF.
And PMRF is?
Pacific Missile Range Facility on Kauai. So what's really wonderful is Kauai's been a huge proponent. I mean, they're massive. They have all of our devices, I want to say. I used to call them the hat trick because they had 3 of our devices out there, but they actually have all 5 now of the following slides that they're about to see. So very very progressive.
Wow. So you've got something else for us to look at then.
Here we go.
Here's a marine application. Yeah.
So actually on Oahu, so we're bringing it back here. If you head out to Koala Basin, this marine buoy here is lit with our solar light. And that is, again, a self-contained, light devices, totally self-encapsulated, solar panels, LEDs, energy management system, and battery pack, all in one. And what that did was allowed the U.S. Coast Guard to keep track of all of their devices throughout District 14. So that goes all the way down to Samoa, which is a huge territory. And I don't think a lot of people realize that we just have 3 cutters that go throughout this territory and maintain all of these buoys. So what we did, we removed that cost component because as you saw here, the battery packs are lasting so much longer that they have a better pulse on maintenance.
Now, you mentioned between here and American Samoa. What exactly happens with these devices?
District 14, my goodness. I mean, they get hit by boats. They'll be run over. Maybe corrosion in the buoys, depending on what type of buoys they're using. The buoy might entirely sink. So basically what they were going up against was not just running into it by having run-ins with boats, but also poor technology in the past of just having a battery pack, and that battery pack would run out. And so if you can imagine the millions and millions, I mean, I want to throw out a number there. I want to say in the last probably 10 years, it's in the tens of millions of dollars of savings because the fuel is no longer needed. If you can imagine them getting a call saying, buoy number 175 is out. So they go fix 175. And then on their way back, they get all the way back and they hear, 163 is out. Well, they're going to have to wait now. And if there's, an accident with that, that all comes into play.
And so how far from Honolulu might buoy 165 be?
It's all the way through Samoa. So all District 14 is one of the largest territories for the U.S. Coast Guard.
So there's a whole string of buoys between here and there then?
And then also throughout like the Marshall Islands and, all of that down there as well. So Guam all the way down.
Wow.
There's a lot, tremendous lot of navigational aids if you just, I tell people, just go ahead and look out into the ocean. You'll see our lights flashing. And, because the U.S. Coast Guard can depend on the technology, they have really improved the maintenance schedule, and because you're buying an entire unit, you no longer have all these spare parts lying around. So the management of that inventory, the costs are, saved there as well.
Yeah, you were, before the show, you and I were talking not just about energy efficiency, but efficiency in general, and near to my heart, you just brought up another subject, namely fuel for the boats. They don't have to be running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There you go.
Yeah, the entire carbon footprint has been reduced, hence our tagline is big solutions, small footprints.
And so the Coast Guard people can actually be at their posts ready to rescue people or whatever they're supposed to be doing.
Spot on, right.
Well, on that cheery note, we need to take a break, but I think we have one more technology to look at.
Sure,
So, okay, let's take a brief break.
Yeah.
ThinkTech Hawaii. Change our mind, not quite a break.
All right.
This is the last piece of technology to look at. Now we're on solid land here, and it looks to me like a bollard.
Yeah. It is. It's actually a lighting device, and this is the same technology going under the Solarcology device definition. And basically, this is another solution regarding pathway and parking lot lights. So what we did with this, it's the same idea. The solar panels on top, the LEDs are fully shielded. Again, it's something that's close to your heart, I know, as well. And standalone devices. So we've actually removed the component between each device, removing the major cost of construction, trenching, permitting, electrical, and the disruption to community, which a lot of people don't really think about. But the spectrum of cost savings is so huge, from the construction and trenching and excavation to the restoration to even the cell phone bill of the project manager has now been removed.
Well, let's get into more detail after the break with Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii.
To Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy on Wednesday, and we have Sharon Moriwaki, my co-host and co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, and we have Warren Bohlmeyer today, a special guest with the Hawaii Renewable Energy Alliance, and also a member of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum.
In fact, he's our Renewable Energy Working Group Chair, so
He
he
is.
takes
He
care of
is.
all of our.
You ought to see him in song and dance, too. He does the musical part of the show. Sharon is more serious than that, but not much more
Not much
serious.
more.
So anyway, what do you think of this show? I mean, is this good?
I think this is good. We hope it's good. We hope it attracts a lot more people than our forum, so that people can see what's going on in energy and clean energy, and call in, write in, tweet
Yeah,
or
we want
Twitter.
that.
Or
We want public engagement, civic engagement from everybody, because that's the only way we're going to get down the road on this, right, Warren?
Yeah, I think so, and it's an opportunity for guys like me to share a little bit of their know and sometimes get the facts right. Who was that guy that said, just give me the facts, start with the facts and then work from there? Oh, it was Dragnet guy, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
Jack,
That was when I was
That
just
man.
in
I
grade
would all
school then. I
remember that.
barely
I was
remember
like,
that.
yeah.
Just the facts,
Just the
man.
man.
Here on Hawaii, the state of clean energy, every Wednesday from 4 to 5. You'll see. Come back soon. Right, Sharon?
Great.
Right, Warren?
Yes.
Good afternoon again, Howard Wiig, Code Green, and my guest today is Lia Hunt of Goldwings Systems, and we left off talking about solar-powered bollards. Again, this is a little solar PV system on top of a lamp, and that's exactly the type of device that Lia's company specializes in. So we'll be going to another bollard, but we left off talking about the huge cost savings possible when you have an individual, independent device like this in lighting. You don't have to do trenching. And what trenching is for the uninitiated is you have to dig this little pathway, say, I don't know, 8 inches, a foot,
Oh, at least, yeah.
at least a foot deep, and you have to connect one light with another, with another, with another. And very often, this involves permitting. And anybody who's been in construction knows that permitting can be a nightmare. It adds to the cost, and then now you have heavy machinery going out there, electricians laying the light, filling it back up again, all kinds of expenses. And then, in the bad old days, the lights themselves didn't have lives that were all that long, so the lamps had to be replaced. The new LED lamps have incredible lifespans. So we'll be seeing another bollard here, Lia, pretty quickly.
Yes, you
And
can.
there she
yeah,
goes.
There it is, yeah. And so one of our customers here, right off the bat, was the Waikiki Aquarium. And we actually did something with them for their 110th birthday. That was about a year ago, I think it was. And that was a unique installation. They actually had AC lights that were there first. So they had hardwired lights, but they had issues with corrosion in the conduit and also obsolete lamp parts and technology and whatnot. And what was cool about that is that it actually started our discussions with Hawaii Energy. And so right now we are the only Solarcology device that is accepted by Hawaii Energy and is offered a rebate. So anyone who has existing AC lights and then replaces it with our off-grid technology gets to enjoy that.
Okay, you mentioned corrosion. It would be very natural for the aquarium to be in a corrosive environment. It's supposed to be right next to the ocean, and it is. There's all that salt breeze. The ocean level below the aquarium, I would imagine, is maybe 3 feet maximum. So you have all this potential for salt corrosion, but you put in a PV-powered device like this, you eliminate the wiring, there's another thing that where you save on money and maintenance.
Yep, money and maintenance, and you can put the lights wherever you want. So that's a flexibility for the property owner, to decide. And it's not only our products scalable on in that way, but also with budget. So if they only have a certain amount for the project, they can buy enough lights to light up the primary areas and things like that. So, I mean, removing the trenching, not only, you're not just looking at the initial project costs, but you're also looking at flexibility. And property managers don't have that all the time, especially with lighting. It costs so much in the beginning. You're digging into capital improvement money.
Yeah, yeah. And again, time. I happen to be not in the permitting field, but I deal with people who do permitting all the time. And sometimes it takes months just to get a simple permit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And if you can avoid that, then again, you put the power into the manager or the homeowners, association owners' hands. You know, they get to decide when they want to put these in, and it takes literally, in some cases, just a few minutes if you're installing into existing concrete. So that's what's really exciting is the cost savings go beyond just the homeowners as well. You know, we're talking about the traffic devices, the obstruction lighting that we're going to see in a few minutes. And that's what's really exciting is being able to work with our community leaders in the government who are in charge of engineering, city and county and whatnot, and seeing them really use the taxpayers' money wisely.
Okay, and you mentioned, what was it, a traffic control device? Oh,
Yeah, I
what do
think
we
here we
have
go.
here?
Yeah. So this is another example of this type of technology used in pedestrian crosswalks. And we have a number of these systems throughout the Hawaiian Islands. And what's really exciting about this is that you can, we immediately impact the safety of a community without disrupting it. And there's no trenching because you're no longer trenching through the crosswalk. You have the installation crew quickly putting up a long-term solution in a matter of a day in some cases.
Now, what is actually, something's going to be blinking here?
Yes, I think in the next slide we can actually see the bar right below the crossing man. You see the bar, and that is a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. And this is actually the first pedestrian crosswalk technology that has sufficient data that shows that drivers actually respond to that. So that's what's really exciting too, is that it's a viable solution. There's data to support it. It is a nice package for the engineers, for procurement, for installation, for the crew. In this situation, you see the solar panel up top, the energy management system, the battery pack. It's all up top with the solar panel as well. So you're looking at a self-encapsulated system. And that really gets mounted right there on the top of that 2 and 3/8-inch telspar that's there. And that installation just requires being driven into the ground. So there's no digging.
Wow. You know, as I'm looking at this, a perfect application, perhaps, would be the much disputed Turtle Beach on the North Shore, where the DOT put the concrete barriers right along the road so people couldn't park, quote unquote, and endanger themselves by crossing the highway. But what's happening now is people just park further and further away, in some cases block driveways because they're not allowed access there. What if instead of the current solution, they allowed parking there and then had a couple of these devices each way, saying in essence, drivers, slow down. You've got pedestrians here. You've got pedestrians all the time. And I go by there and I see that a lot of the people crossing the road are little kids.
Yeah.
And you really want
right.
safety there.
Yeah, and you've got them walking long distances, which means that they're walking on either side of the highway as well and coming from all these different directions. So drivers are being distracted because they're looking to the right when they're missing the left. And, you know, you would think that it would make sense, you know, to create the traffic and keep the traffic in one area and then use a device like this that's pedestrian activated. And that is, you know, proven to alert drivers ahead of time. And actually this technology also comes with advanced markers as well. So you could put markers down the road on each end and they would wirelessly connect with each other. And that would, you know, give drivers the advanced warning.
Wow, okay, Because a lot of, you know, people are going at, I don't know, 35 miles an hour. And when you're in a heavy pedestrian area like that, or the schools that you're giving examples of, you want people, you know, give drivers a lot of advance notice. Take your foot off that gas pedal.
Yeah, I like that example.
Yeah. So please petition the DOT to
we're trying.
consider that.
We're doing our best, yeah.
And so what else do you have up your sleeve besides this, as if this weren't enough here?
Yeah, it's actually really exciting. We're to be involved in so many facets of the community and finally be kind of talking to people about it and educating people about this is really happening. You know, these types of devices have been in our marketplace for over 15 years now. And One of the most exciting ones is also, I think the next slide is of the Kaka'ako development, which, there's the right and the left side, there's pros and cons of it. But when you look at our devices, we also have a solar obstruction lighting. So all of the cranes that you see up there are using solar obstruction lights. And
what is a solar obstruction light?
Basically it's kind of something like this, but it's the evolutionary product of this. And this is actually was created, like I said, in '96, and it's only a 1 mile marker. It has evolved into a 3 to 5 mile marker, and that's what these cranes are using. Wow. Yeah, so they actually take the unit when the cranes, when they're first putting the crane in. I'm not a very good crane person to describe how this goes, but basically they bolt it to 3 points on the crane, and we remove the wiring that has to be done throughout that. And all it does is when the sun goes down, it starts blinking, and when the sun comes up, it turns itself off.
Wow.
Yep. And so it's what's actually fantastic about that is that the FAA that does mandate this type of lighting has given nods in certain corridors of the airspace. So if a crane is not in a obvious, the airspace of flight path, then the FAA is all for solar, which is huge, for a government agency to be advocating for this type of solution.
Yeah. And again, we get back to resource efficiency. You don't need any wiring up there.
Or maintenance, or and they might have been using maybe just battery technology. So then they would have to figure out who's going to walk out there and change the battery, or in some cases, the wiring, or maybe there's a conduit failure, or a wiring failure or something like that. Yeah.
And cranes are pretty rough areas. In the lighting industry, we speak about rough areas where there's a lot of vibration, a lot of motion, everything going on. And this type of technology strikes me as something that can take a whole lot of roughness out there.
Right, a lot of vibration, a lot of load. Because these units were used overseas in Iraq and Afghanistan in aviation, they were exposed to jet blast, rocks being hurled at them at high speeds. Because they're in a marine, they have to be a survivor in the marine environment, resistant to corrosion, sun damage, UV damage. And so really the products that have evolved have really been because of all of this history that they've earned in working in the toughest and most rugged environments.
Wow. Yeah, we talk about in the efficiency world something called resource efficiency, where, say, something with a very short life, you have all that energy and all that material that went into making this thing, and then it fails, you throw it away, you buy a new one, it fails, you throw it away, buy a new one. The type of technology you're talking about, I would think it has a good deal of energy that goes into it in the first place, but then it just lasts and lasts and lasts.
Yeah, well, there's that, and then there's also the evolutionary product. So what you're talking about with regards to having one solution and then it expiring and you discarding it has been something of the past with the manufacturers that we do represent. Because they were leaders in the field, they were able to use that to catapult them into the next phase of products, which are replaceable batteries. So although like this product, this was initially the first product, you see the battery pack here on the bottom, and it is totally self-contained. Now, the obstruction lights that you're seeing out there, the traffic, the aviation lights, they're all battery replacements. So it just, again, emphasizes the length of the LED technology. So because partnering with manufacturers like Cree, where you have 100,000 hours of LED life, at L70 at 70%, that's huge, and then you also pointed out to it flashing, how that conserves that and lengthens also the LED life as well.
Okay, well, on that cheery note, I know we have more goodies to show. Looking forward to it. We will take a brief break and get into the home stretch of ThinkTech Hawaii. Back in a moment.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevelin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Hi, I'm your host on ThinkTech Asia, Bill Sharp. I look forward to you joining us each Monday between 4 and 5 o'clock when we film right here in our studio in downtown Honolulu. The show, ThinkTech Asia, focuses on contemporary events in Asia. And by Asia, we mean anything from Hawaii, south to Australia and New Zealand, west to Pakistan, and as far north as the Russian Far East. Clearly, this is one of the most economically dynamic centers of the world, and we bring you up to date on what's going on in a whole host of countries in this very vital region. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Good afternoon again, Howard Wiig, Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii. I am here with Lia Hunt of Goldwings Systems. We've been talking about all kinds of high-tech, super durable, incredibly cost-effective uses of solar-powered LED lighting. And what else do we have? We have the protection of the shearwater birds. For those of you who are not aware of the shearwater situation, they're endemic to the island of Kauai, and they're an endangered species, and they've been getting, especially the young ones, get confused by nighttime lighting. They circle around and around and around the conventional lights, get exhausted, drop to the ground, and either a cat or a dog finds them, or they get run over. So you have an endangered species in even more danger. So what are you doing about shearwater birds?
Well,
Yeah.
I know that this is something close to your heart,
Mhm.
and it is to mine too.
Yeah.
But really, when you're talking about the migration of birds, what International Dark Sky is focusing on is fully shielded lighting. And that's something that you have with the bollard technology and the parking lot technology that we're talking about, is taking into consideration future lighting ordinances in our solutions package that we're offering at this time. Also the turtle certification that we have, one of our lines has, and that is actually a stamp through the Florida Wildlife Conservatory, and that actually uses amber LEDs and fully shielded with also a backlit shield as well. And the amber LEDs are within that spectrum where that is invisible to turtles. And so that's something that folds over then into the shearwater concerns, and it's pretty exciting. I think you can see here in this picture that the lights are fully shielded, so there is no upward light or creating that light pollution that that we're all worried about.
Okay. For those who are uninitiated, take our common street lights. They're called high pressure sodium, and if you notice, look at them closely, they're kind of an orangish color, and they are dominated by amber. And while we human beings have a very, very broad color spectrum, we go all the way from violet on one side to deep red on the other, turtles have a much narrower spectrum of vision. And if you can specify the degrees, well, I'm getting technical now, specify the right type of light for the turtles, they won't get confused. And what's happening with the turtles is they get confused by the light, they think it's moonlight, and they keep heading in and in and in and inland towards this supposed moonlight, and they end up on a highway, and guess what happens to them then? So this type of light is turtle friendly, where they won't get confused because they won't see the light. Is that a good summary?
Yes, excellent. Better than I could have ever done.
Now, and I know that a lot of Florida communities, beach communities, are using this type of light because, among other things, aside from the concern for the animals, it's a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
Come to our little Florida town and see the turtles. Just stay away from the turtles, but observe them. Yeah, so it's a source of revenue. And I know that, well, Turtle Beach on the North Shore naturally has turtles, and I think around the point there, aren't there other turtle-friendly areas or areas where turtles kind of hang out?
You know, I'm not too familiar with where they are, but I know
Yeah.
that on Kauai, and we've actually had inquiries from Molokai as well with regards to our turtle lighting as well as the shearwater.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, it's something else to be able to put a stamp on top of your product that has been tested by the Wildlife Conservancy, and you know, it's really important for people to understand that this is, I mean, because we are so in touch with the monk seals and the turtles. I mean, you know, we should be the leaders of this. We should be at the forefront of taking care of our community, meaning not just the people in the community, but the species that are within it. We go into their community, their ocean, and we gain so much from it. So it's only, you know, it's our kuleana to take care of that and to be respectful and responsible.
Yeah. And let me put on my DPED, Business and Economic Development hat, and say again that there is a subspecies of tourism called ecotourism. And this would be an excellent segue into ecotourism. You know, come see the turtles, but there's very, very strict guidelines. You don't bring your own lights and you stay X away, and I'm sure there'd be people supervising. But
Yeah.
that would be yet another.
Yeah.
So we know the visible light spectrum for turtles. Do we have any idea what shearwaters see?
You know what, I don't. I'm not too sure what shearwaters see. I actually was on the tip of exploring that, and I don't. I would love to talk to someone over on Kauai about that. I think the DLNR is a big part of the movement that's happening over there.
They are, and this remains a mystery. Maybe this is your next breakthrough here. Because
I'd love to.
I sit on something called the Starlight Reserve Committee, and our kuleana is to render the skies as dark as possible, and as just a fortunate offshoot to protect the wildlife also.
Yep, and that's where we talk about responsible lighting solutions. And I think one of our jobs in doing our missions in presenting all of these solutions is to also educate the community about you know, the brightness of the lights that are out there, and that it's really, you know, the levels are unacceptable as to what parking lot lights are and things like that, and that there are IES specifications that that are much lower than what people, you know, are in fact using. And so it will be exciting, you know, over the course of the next 30 years that we get to 2046, and, you know, I think it's SB 623. So to see how we, you know, play a part in that.
Yeah. And for those of you wondering, dark skies refers to outdoor lighting that puts the light, what a concept here, puts the light down on the ground exactly where we need it, rather than shooting it off horizontally or even shooting it up, which is the case now. Easiest thing to do is go up to Tantalus and go to a lookout at night and look at the night lighting of Honolulu, and you can see that there's so much light going up where it's absolutely wasted. And that's wasted electricity, that's wasted oil. Go to Mauna Kea and look towards Honolulu, and you will see this bell-shaped orange glow. And that is light pollution from Honolulu affecting Mauna Kea 250 miles away. So your products are all dark skies friendly. They're getting the light exactly down where it's needed, which leads to another dear subject to me, lighting efficiency. You can use less wattage in those lamps because you're not shooting it up, you're just getting exactly where you need it. And that extends, and that low wattage means your battery has a lot more capability to just go on and on and on and on.
Correct,
Like
correct.
that, yeah.
Yep, and that extends using the AGM or sealed lead acid type of battery. That's perfect for that type of application, because you dip into it just a certain percent, and then you're able to come back via the next day, and then the energy management system then also prolongs the sustainability of that. And so when I talk to people about this, I say it's a sustainability solution, but it also has a sustainable software. So that in itself is, you know, you want to ask those questions when you're looking at any kind of solar powered system, regardless if it's a traffic system, aviation, obstruction, general illumination. You know, those are the kinds of questions you want to ask. Are the relationships between the components, and what, you know, who makes those components?
And this is something called smart lighting, which boils down into smart grid and so forth. But that's a subject of another conversation. We've only got a couple minutes left. And I know that we should cover your relationship with Hawaii Energy. If you could explain
Yeah.
what Hawaii Energy is and then your relationship.
Sure. So Hawaii Energy is in charge of all the rebates that you see out there and the incentive programs, and they partner with Hawaiian Electric to reach our goals as a community, as a utility, also Governor Ige's initiatives, and we are our line of solar pathway and parking lot lights. We are the first to partner with Hawaii Energy and receive a rebate for the when it's used to replace an AC existing light. So that's really exciting because it's a badge to show that we are pioneering technology, but the marketplace is confident in our solutions. And to partner with a utility company, that we are the first in the United States to gain that notoriety. So it's really exciting. And, we just really have to thank some of the earlier buy-ins. For instance, Waikiki Aquarium, they were some of the ones that tested. And then we also have the military as well that really bought into the technology. The military, they have a little bit more history because they use a lot of our other things as well.
Yeah.
But really, it's a testament to Hawaii Energy's also investment into community, into looking at other devices other than on-grid LED.
Yeah, and just for a little background, if you look on the back of your electricity bill, you see all of these little charges, and one of those charges, I forget what it's called, but it goes from
Yes.
Hawaiian Electric to Hawaii Energy.
Correct.
And their sole kuleana is to determine the best way of using that money to reduce energy use to promote the most efficient
That's
technologies
correct.
out
That's
there.
correct. I think a lot of people don't pay attention to that bill, but if they do look at the itemized listing in the back, that they will see that they are contributing to the Hawaii rebate program.
yeah.
So, if you are contributing, be a part of it and be a recipient. So take a look at all these different initiatives and, be a part of the solution, be a part of the change.
Absolutely. Yeah, all the way down to taking out your old refrigerator and replacing it with an Energy Star refrigerator. If your refrigerator is really old, your electricity bill is going to go down like a rock. But enough of general promulgating. We've only got a minute or so left. What have not we covered?
I just say we have a federal, we meet the Desire federal tax credit as well. Yeah, so that's really cool as well.
That's
Yeah.
right, that's right.
So, so they can
Yeah.
take part in both. You just have to make sure that your organization or institution qualifies for the Desire program, because there's kind of a list of qualifications. But
Yeah.
with Hawaii Energy, anyone who has an electric bill qualifies.
Okay. And is there a place to reach you,
Oh.
as in a website or email address?
Yeah, you can, the website is, you can just go to solarcology.com. You can also go to solarbollards.com. But we will be at next week's expo, the Hawaii Lodging and Hospitality Expo next week at the Blaisdell. And that's a big place for us because it's a professional expo. And so we are talking with engineers, with resort managers, property management owners. And that's where the discussion happens, where it actually translates into a directive. This is where the real conversation happens. And so it's pretty exciting for us. Looking forward to it.
Good. Yeah. And I did fail to mention the tax credits. This is a PV system. You are eligible for both a state and a federal tax credit when you install this. My goodness, you're almost giving these things away after a while, combined with the Hawaii Energy rebate. So thank you very much, Lia Hunt. This has been a huge pleasure.
you.
We've just scratched the surface, but I know that you're going to be coming back with better and better products, because this is a field that's improving so rapidly.
Oh, it's amazing. It's a roller coaster ride. It's really exciting and it's fun to be a part of it. And what's really cool though is now we're getting into products that are crossing over into the commercial and community versus just selling to the government, which
Precisely.
we have been doing for years.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to be being out there and being with friends, and also we get to work together so much more. I think in the future we will be, and so that's exciting.
Exciting times we live in. And that will do it for this afternoon. ThinkTech Hawaii, Howard Wiig. See you later.